Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Anthony Lacauzi. I'm the Associate Director of Recruitment here at Western Atlantic University School of Medicine, and we're so happy that you're all here with us today. We're going to be covering lots of topics, some great information from our faculty and our students. And I just wanted to remind you that we're also streaming live on YouTube, so catch us there as well. Tonight we're going to be talking to our provost, Dr. Paula Wales, who's also our chief operating officer. Welcome to Paula. And our campus dean, Dr. Laura Welke, down in Freeport. And our fantastic students, Tiffany Fan and Irvin Pama, who are our fourth semester students, and they're going to be here to answer a lot of questions for you. We also have our live chat going with our admissions team handling the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and our folks will be able to answer them, and hopefully we can answer them live for you on the info session. So let's just dive right in and get to know what WAUSM's all about. We're going to start off first with Dr. Wales. Dr. Wales, WAUSM recently received its provisional accreditation from CAMHP, which is our accreditor. Could you tell us what that means for our current and future students?
Sure. Hello, Anthony, and thank you for having me here tonight. I am thrilled to talk about accreditation. As many of you may know, WAUSM received provisional accreditation from CAMHP. Accreditation is temporal in nature, so it's based in time. So you get candidacy status through CAM before your charter class begins, which we had, and then you get provisional status once your charter class makes it to the clerkships. So that's where our charter class is now. And then once that class graduates, then you can apply for full accreditation. The good thing and the most important thing to remember is if you are going to a school that has provisional accreditation and you graduate from that school, that's considered graduating from an accredited school. So WAUSM is an accredited school, and we are thrilled. We're thrilled about that, and we know that it means a lot to our students and it means a lot to our faculty and staff. So we're pretty excited about it.
And that's a great foundation to start from, because having that accreditation in place is essential to to the success of the medical school. So that's great. Let's talk a little bit about the background and the school of what led you to WAUSM, and how it's been great for you so far.
Sure. So my background is I was at the Indiana University School of Medicine for almost 20 years. Then I went to Ross University School of Medicine, and I was there for a little while. And then I started the Nova Southeastern University College of Allopathic Medicine, so the MD program at Nova. So I've been at a large state school, a large international school, a small startup private school. And when my friends approached me and said, would you like to come and start a small international school? I said, yes, absolutely. So the reason I came to WAUSM is we were given the opportunity to create everything from scratch. So we developed the best curriculum so several of us have had a lot of experience at other medical schools. So we took the very best pieces of things that work from an educational perspective, from a facilities perspective. We handpicked every single faculty member. We handpick every single student. We develop the curriculum from scratch. So there are no weird artifacts in the curriculum. It is highly integrated and designed to help students remember information and process information efficiently and optimally. So I would say that the opportunity to build the very best medical school we could imagine was it's just amazing. It was amazing and it continues to be amazing. And I love it here at WAUSM for that reason. We are building the very best medical school we can imagine.
And those are the best building blocks to use. And down on campus we have Dr. Welke, who is our campus dean, with our students there. So Dr. Welke, can you just give us a little bit, building off of what Dr. Wales had said about your experience so far with WAUSM and how it came to you?
Yeah, and good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to have you out there, and a pleasure to be here tonight. So I've been most of my career in international medical education. I did my PhD in anatomy and neurobiology in Boston at Boston University School of Medicine, and did a little bit of at SUNY Downstate in New York, and then I went to Ross University, and that's where I met Dr. Wales along our journey. And I really loved being in the international sort of medical education sphere and that orbit, giving students an opportunity to realize their dream. And I just loved it. And like Dr. Wales said, I got the call in 2019 and sort of, hey, we're gonna start a new school. And you're like, oh my goodness, I want to be a part of this, because like she said, it's a blank slate. And how exciting. We've all been in that space where it's like, wow, I get to start something new. We've all been like, oh, I wish I could do it this way or that way. And so like Dr. Wales said, we took sort of all of these best practices, and it's just so exciting to build that using all of what you know and your experiences. And then I think what makes us so amazing is our people. And I'm talking faculty, our staff, our colleagues, our students. We just have an incredible culture, and I think it's just wonderful. So I will stop there.
Well, and speaking of the students, your two right hand and left hand right there, Tiffany and Irvin, reintroduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about what part of the country you're from, and then what led you to choose WAUSM for med school. We'll start with Tiffany.
Okay, hi, I'm Tiffany Fan. I am from Chantilly, Virginia. I went to school at Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia. And what led me to WAUSM was that I wanted to get a start on my medical journey. I took a few gap years and I was ready to go. And it's beautiful here, so that really drew me too.
Great. How about you, Irvin?
Hi, I'm Irvin Bahama. I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland, so same neck of the woods as Tiff. And I went to school in UC Santa Barbara in California. I think what really drew me to this school was, like Dr. Welke said, was starting something from scratch, but also I've always been one for adventure, so I thought this could be my new adventure.
And being part of that journey and adventure is always great, so that students have kind of a seat at the table. So that's fantastic too, and we promote that kind of environment, which is great. So let's talk a little bit about the curriculum. And Dr. Welke, you're the best person to ask about the curriculum, because you're down on the island with the students every day, going through, making sure that the curriculum is just right and getting the students that knowledge that they need. So can you give us an overview of the pre-clerkship curriculum and how it prepares the students for clerkships, which is ultimately the goal in years 3 and 4, and that, that career in medicine that they're all striving for?
Yeah, it's really exciting because we were very intentional about how we wanted this to look. And these students are coming here to be trained as future physicians. So we do not silo. We don't have a course in anatomy. We don't have a course in biochemistry. You're not coming here to get a PhD in, physiology. You're not. You're coming here to be trained as physicians and to understand cases and how the basic sciences apply to treatment of disease states. So we were very intentional about coming together, and I think we have amazing medical educators who brought their minds together. We have mostly MD faculty. I would say maybe half. And so they're working with PhD faculty on building cases and scenarios around patient care. That's what you're doing, from the very start. So we have 2 courses, and within the courses we have units. So you might have cardiovascular, and then respiratory, and then renal. And within all of those units, it's all integrated. So in the classroom, the students do a little work beforehand. We have a sort of a flipped classroom model for most of the content. And then they'll come in, and there will be a clinician there with maybe a physiologist or a pharmacologist, and you're working through cases and different problems or questions, and they're bouncing off each other and really getting to the nitty gritty, like, how would you treat this? What do you think? What is and you guys can throw it.
She taught us. She taught us.
Like, it's always based on what's relevant for you as a physician. You're not dredging through, we're not memorizing origins and insertions of every muscle or all the tiny little nitty gritty. It's really relevant and fresh and new and modern and very much integrated between disciplines, because that's how it's going to be in clerkship, as Anthony said. Like you're going to promote into clerkships and be working with patients every day. And you need to have that. We do a lot of like how doctors think, how you need to look at the problem, how you need to look at the question, how you need to work with the patient.
It's very interesting because some units kind of build off of each other. So even like during exams, like you'll have a question pulled from a different unit, but because it's still relevant to the new unit that you're talking about, you get to kind of work on old stuff and new stuff at the same time.
Yeah, it's like in your body. It's not separate, compartments. It's all, the biochemistry and the physiology and everything ties in together. So we were very, very intentional about building the curriculum that way, and pivot, promoting them for success in patient care.
Well, that's going to lead me to my next question to ask both Tiffany and Irvin, and we're actually already there, is that being that Dr. Welke was teaching you and going through those modules with you, how was your experience in learning in that environment, the flipped classroom environment, the integrated learning? Because of course, traditionally medical schools, they have a lecture style, which is, for some it works, but I know that the biggest thing that the students love is this way that WAUSM teaches. So Tiffany, tell me a little bit about how that's been for you so far.
Yeah, I would say going off of what Irvin said about how when you see things again that you've seen before in exams, you feel like you kind of get it a little more. I feel that the way the curriculum is as we go through each unit, we started off with biochem, but then went straight into MSK, then cardio, all the way up now we're in neuro, about to get into derm. I feel like as we got through each unit, things started to make more sense, like collectively, because we kept growing our knowledge bank. Like as we go through each subject, we're talking about at the same time pathophys as what you're doing to treat the patient, the pharmacology, the anatomy, everything is there all at once. So I like that it's not like the whole time we just had one class that was just about drugs, and then we had to figure out how the drugs went into each body system. It's while you're in that system, you're learning, why does the drug work, where does it work, how does that relate to the patient, and then why is the patient having this issue. Like I really like how everything is kind of, so I don't have to put in as much effort to make the connections myself. It's the way that the classes are and the way that we have our learning, it's that everything is already kind of put there for you.
Right. What about you, Irvin? What's been your experience?
I really like the flipped classroom style because you get to tailor your learning to how you want. You don't need to focus on specific things if you don't want to, or if you're struggling on a certain subject, that's what you can focus on. Definitely like coming from like the pandemic, it was a different situation because I had to deal with the pandemic when I was a junior in college. So doing those Zoom lectures was kind of nerve-wracking, and it was very hard to focus. So I tended to tailor my own education, and building off from that, like it was very nice coming here and continuing to do that on my own.
Yes. So the most benefit that I'm hearing is the fact that there's a lot of engagement, there's a lot of integration, and you're constantly learning, as opposed to kind of putting yourself in these little silos where sometimes you'll learn about that later, as opposed to let's talk about it now, let's learn everything that there is to know about the system now. And that seems to be really resonating with the students. So that's great.
For sure. And
Yes.
also, the professors really encourage us to get out of our shell where, you're not in a lecture where, you can get through the whole semester without saying anything. It's every single class. Just be prepared. You will be called on.
Right.
Everybody will know you.
They know you personally.
Yeah. So, it's good to get used to talking to people, to being confident about your answers and being confidently wrong about your answers too.
It's active. It's all active.
They also encourage you to work with other students at the same time too. So it's not like you're answering these questions by yourself and you're totally alone. No, you have your group mates, your other students to help you as well.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what it's all about. We've always known that you learn a lot more from your peers a lot of the time, so that you have those connections made. So let's talk a little bit about assessment of performance, and I'm going to throw this to Dr. Welke. I know that we utilize here at WAUSM, we utilize the NBME, which is the National Board of Medical Examiners, to assess performance, and that starts in semester one. It just doesn't start, down the road. It really starts from the beginning. First of all, could you explain the rationale for that, and then how is that helping the students in their learning by being assessed with the actual exams from the NBME?
Yeah, 100%. I actually have to, Dr. Wales gets all the credit for this, because when we were building this out, she's like, we're going to be using the AMCAS. And I'm like, okay. And, and I'm like, that sounds cool. And now I think it's one of the best things that we've done, because what that is, for those of you out there, the NBME writes the step 1, 2, and 3. So the United States Medical Licensing Exam, which you're all going to have to take. So for us, we have the privilege to utilize their platform to create exams. So that's really cool. We get a bank of like 12,000 questions or something, and what we do blueprint our exams. So we do 4 exams a term, and we go in and blueprint, and so the faculty can pull questions. If we're in cardiovascular block, we can pull here's hypertension, and here's another one, and so we can build our own exams, but they're all from the NBME, which is so cool. And so it's just, I mean, and probably all of you out there in education, they're not faculty written, so or local faculty written, so it's just awesome. So you're getting used to the NBME style of writing from your very first term. And we do 4 exams a semester, a term. So by the time you reach 5th semester, you've done 16 of these exams. And I think they can attest. They're really, really good at this now. They're really good at picking apart the question, deciphering it. What are they looking for? What's the best answer choice? It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And so by the time you're going to get your crack at the step 1 licensing exam, you're going to be like, oh, I know how to do this. This is great. Well, maybe not great, but but it's just going to come natural, because you've been exposed to these questions all along. And that's so, so important. So.
And that's a great segue to my next question to give Tiffany and Irvin, is that what has been their experience so far with taking these exams, especially that they take 16 in semester 1. So how has that been for you? We'll start with Tiffany.
Yeah, so I will say that I feel very privileged that we get to take these exams, because they're nothing like doing practice problems that you could do. I feel that you can do a lot of RX, AMBOSS, osmosis, any platform you want to do, and then you go to the exam, and it will prepare you for the knowledge that you need for the exam. But the way that they write is always going to be like 2nd, 3rd order questions. It's not gonna, like if you know the information, they'll ask you in different ways. So I like that we get exposed to just the type of questions that we're going to see, and really be able to work on our exam taking skills, as well as timing and things like that. I will say they are hard. Haven't had hard exams like this before ever in my college, and previous to that, but I'm really glad that we have that, so it can I'd rather do not so good, not that I'm not, but then improve my way before we actually take step, and be really confident that we'll do well and we'll pass on the first try.
How about you, Irvin?
Taking the exams makes me feel more confident that I'll do well in STEP. Like Tiffany said, like these questions are second, third order questions. So it's not that they're going to be asking you directly, like, I mean, some of the questions like direct science, basic science questions, but really you have to think about the disease and the human body anatomy and see where the question is going to take you. Um, I think it's very important that like we take these types of exams because it kind of tells you how you're going to do on STEP and how much you need to focus on specific units as well when you're in fifth semester, because fifth semester here is all about integrating all those units that you've taken together into like one exam and prepare you to take STEP as well.
And then also that's a great lead into when you're in year 3, and then there's exams that are associated with the disciplines, the 6 disciplines that you take in year 3, the 6 cores. So that's there's a method behind the madness. There's always something that is being done with a purpose later on. So that's another great thing about WAUSM that I see from the faculty and also from the students, which I would tell anybody about. So let's talk about the background that you guys are sitting behind there, the simulation lab, which is the great state-of-the-art lab that we have there at WAUSM. Dr. Welke, could you discuss how the simulation lab is incorporated into the curriculum and to see how the students benefit from that?
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are. I think you can, there we go. This is one. We have four simulation bays, and we have these Apollo 3G mannequins, and they are incorporated into every semester. So you're going to come semester 1, and you will do a simulated experience. So we can program these mannequins to have any sort of all sorts of types of disease state or clinical environment. So they can seize, they can blink, they can talk, we can program them to do all the things. And the students go in as a team and group, and they have to work through really the clinical case or the problem. And there's a crash. Oh, there's Erica.
That was back when I was black.
So, and you'll see a crash cart there. They can push medication. They can do CPR like you see, air. They can administer the different the drugs and things, all in a simulated environment. You see some of our task trainers. This is a GI, bowel sounds and respiratory sounds. We also have cardiovascular task trainers, so students can learn, there we go, with our cardiovascular, with faculty, learning about heart sounds, what the different ailments may feel or sound like. So even from semester 1, you're going to do, starting in semester 1, a simulated environment. And then as you progress through the semesters, the simulated experiences become a little bit more challenging. And of course, they're all aligned with what we're doing in the classroom. So if they're in cardiovascular, of course, they're going to be doing heart sounds, and we relate that to the basic science. So it's all integrated, it's all woven really, really beautifully. So we're really blessed to have this clinical environment here. It's pretty state of the art, and we had a lot of say in the look and feel, how the building was designed and where things should be placed, and for optimal student learning. So it's really awesome.
So I'm going to ask Tiffany and Irvin, what do you like best about the Sim Lab? What's been your success stories in there?
Well, to the date, none of my patients have ever died. Okay.
Fantastic.
That's been great. I will say my first sim ever, our first semester, was so stressful. At this point, I've had a lot of like clinical medical practice experience as a scribe, surgical assistant, all those things, but I'd never been in like an emergency setting before, so it was very stressful. Our patient was seizing, and we were all like, what do we do? And it was just so crazy because it was so real too. And as we went on each semester and we got to do more and more sims, it started going from stressful to, I mean, it's always a stressful, but it went from like stressful, not knowing anything, to wow, it's exciting now, and I'm excited to see see and think on just on the spot about what I know and how I can help this patient. I really like that. Now, as a fourth semester, we just had Sim Olympics recently, and it was Urban and I's first time doing it. And we felt like we knew what we were doing. There was no like, scurrying around, freaking out. It was like organized chaos. It was and it really does match up with the curriculum. So you never feel like you don't know what to do at all. Like, I feel like, and it's really nice to be able to see, you hear about a case in class and now you're seeing it with a real patient who's throwing up blood. You see it with a patient who's having an ectopic pregnancy. These are really cool cases, and it's always an exciting day.
For me, I think it would be not only seeing like the vitals in real time, because sometimes like you'll see the blood pressure is like normal, and then all of a sudden it drops. You're like, what do I do now? Yeah. But then you like apply the medication, and then you see what happens once you apply that medication. It's really cool. But also like it teaches you how to talk to other people in the code, in the situation. And you also get to sometimes like lead the situation, the code itself. That is my favorite, but it's also kind of stressful because at the end of the day, like it falls on you to lead your team well. But I think it's really cool, and it prepares you for clerkship.
And that's all good stress, because the stress is good. It prepares you for what's to come, and it's constant. You're constantly improving each time that you go through the simulation. So that's another goal that we want to stress to everybody, that the sim lab is there for you to improve. So that's another great aspect of what WAUSM has there for students. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions in the chat, feel free to put them in, and our admissions team will be handling that for you. Well, I'm going to switch gears, and we're going to throw it back to Dr. Wales with a question about student support. So, of course, the students, we support them in everything that we do, but we have a lot of resources that are available to the students. So could you talk about the learning resources that's provided to all WAUSM students from semesters 1 through 10?
Sure. So again, we did that very intentionally. We know that, well, probably everyone on this call knows that medical school can be tough, right? It's hard. And so what we tried to do is make medical school as palatable as we can. And we did that with educational resources or academic resources. We do that with human resources. We do that with all sorts of support. So your question was really about academic resources. So we provide all sorts of academic resources, and I'm going to even ask the students to chime in and tell us what their favorites are. But we provide AMCAS. We provide everything is on the Canvas Learning platform. So everything we do in the curriculum is posted to Canvas. So a student can just look at their instance on Canvas, and it tells them exactly what they need to read, including like what pages in the book. So if you're reading something in Harrison's, there's a link exactly to the pages that you need to read for that particular session. We provide UWorld. We provide, again, the NBME exams that Dr. Welke mentioned. So the learning resources are just extremely plentiful, and that is done very intentionally because we want to give students all the tools we can for them to be as successful as they can. We view our job as taking students and helping them become the best physicians they can be.
And Dr. Welke, how would you say for when you're in the classroom with the students, how we incorporate those learning resources when we're teaching those subjects?
Yeah, no, 100%. We provide complete anatomy, so that's sometimes used by our anatomists in the classroom. We do a lot of working with questions. We have like an audience response system called WooClap, and we use we'll just pop up questions, and we'll say, let's get together and do a WooClap. Goodness, it's just, they have osmosis. I think Dr. Wales says AMBOS. So we might do an AMBOS question, or we might look at osmosis, or we might do, what's so lovely about this is every session is different. We tailor it to like, how will students best learn this content, and they have fun things. They do like skinquisition, they do Jeopardy, they do spelling bee, it's active learning, and we don't just have one modality it's not a one size fits all. We say, how can we make this fun and engaging and active? So we incorporate a lot of those learning resources in class. Our classrooms are very high tech. A lot of faculty just walk around with an iPad and draw. There's drawing, there's games, there's questions, there's cases. So it's just all depends on what we're doing that day. So I should say, you were talking about SimSpace, is that everything's very safe. You're coming here to learn, and you're not going to get lost, and you're not alone, so like Tiffany said, it's good to be vulnerable. It's good to be wrong. So it's good to be right sometimes, but we're all learning and here together to do that in a safe environment that sometimes may be stressful. But then once you get into clerkships beyond, you're going to feel like really cool, like, and confident about it. So we're really engaging in class and active. And like Tiffany said, we'll call on you and be like, all right, look at the question on the screen. What do we got? What do you see? And let's tackle this. So yeah, so we use a lot of those resources just in whatever, depending on what we're doing in class that day.
And Tiffany and Irvin, what are your go-to resources? Because everybody learns differently. Everybody has different methods on how they learn. And what's been your go-to so far?
I definitely like AMCAS. That's been my number one since first semester. But I definitely recommend using questions from as many different sources as you can, because that's what's going to help you pass and succeed.
Yeah, and for me, not only the resources that the school pays for is good, but also the pre-work that we get. We get PowerPoints from professors, and I find those really helpful to go over as almost like a summary of what we need to do. And they put in learning objectives. So it's like all of these topics that we should know before we get to the quiz or to the exam. We should be able to have those down pat. And I like that there's so many resources there. And then after the session, a lot of times we have post quizzes that we can do. They're not graded, and they're just for our own practice. And I love going through them. Irvin and I will go through them before an exam. We'll like go through every single post quiz that we've ever been
multiple times.
Do more and more practice, because like Irvin said, once you get down whatever sort resource you use to get the information down the first time, it's just questions that really, have the material sink in and make sure you understand it.
Yeah, and some people prefer drawing it out. And even when you look at like the atlas or first aid, you'll get those diagrams to help you follow a schema and honestly just tell you how to think of a certain case or disease.
And the best part of what you guys have been talking about is that there's a varied amount of resources available to the students, and you just pick what works best for you. And you guys, you seem to be very, very keen on what works best. So that's great. I will say, building off of what Dr. Wales said earlier, that med school is hard. We all know that it's hard, and it can be difficult at times. And we see students doing well in their undergrad, but then when they come to WAUSM or they go to medical school in general, they may have a little bit tougher time. So, Dr. Welke, can you talk about the resources that we have available to help students maybe improve their test-taking skills, time management, how to study better? What does WAUSM offer to those students?
Yeah, so we have a Center for Academic Success. We call it CAS, and all faculty are part of this center. And this the center we do have a director of that center, and she does a lot with just what you're saying, time management, cognitive skills, test taking, all of that. But there's also peer learning partners. We call them PLPs. And so those are what you call teaching assistants, or helpers that are part of CAS. And I think those are really popular because sometimes students like to work with other students on things, and sometimes they might be reluctant to go to faculty at times. But we really offer an open office hour environment too. Like, our doors are always open. Students can come in and drop by anytime. And There's different workshops available or that we do in class. Also, there's CAS sessions built into the curriculum. So there might be different workshops and post-exam sort of concept reviews or other. In addition to just CAS, like focusing on academics, we have a full-time director of counseling and wellness in here because we know sometimes it's really important just to talk to someone if you're maybe feeling a little down or stressed or something, and so there's that wraparound support, not only academic but really wellness and balance and behavioral too. I think we have a really good culture of openness, inclusion, and all of the things. Very safe. So yeah, I think we've striven for that, really driven for that. So
It works.
it works.
That's great to hear. So for Tiffany and Irvin, these resources that we have available, how have you guys utilized those when, say, something is not working or it's a little bit fuzzy? What are your go-tos?
I definitely like going to the source. We'll hit up faculty when during office hours or open door policy. I think it's very important to get to know your faculty on a personal level. And Tiffany and I are also, we try to do weekly meetings with these faculty to just prepare us for step one and review old material as well as set us up for the new material we'll be learning. And we're also PLPs ourselves, so we incorporate that into our weekly schedule to help other students out and also help us remember what we have studied in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely say that love the fact that as long as our professor is free and their doors open, we can just walk in and ask them anything that we don't understand, get some clarification. I feel all the faculty are so welcoming. They're like happy to see you. We now have there's like almost like a popularity contest. So we like let them know that we saw you today. But I think it's really great that the faculty is so accessible here. And like Irvin said, we have weekly meetings because we want to do problems with faculty members and kind of have them help us go through problems. I feel like the PLP program is really good because not only are we helping other students learn, we're also learning from them as well. I love being able to have a scheduled time where I'm reviewing older material as it goes on, but doing that with somebody else. And Melanie, our wellness director, she is great too, just super easy to talk to for any reason. I feel also that the school doesn't ever let you kind of sink. Like when you're starting to struggle a little, or even when you're doing well, I feel like all the faculty, somebody is always looking out for you and kind of checking up with you. Like after exams, we kind of do a post-exam reflection and we talk about just skills and things that we want to improve on or what we thought we did well on and what helped us. And I liked that there's just built-in class time where we actually talk about what we could do better on or what has been really helpful to us and what we want to continue to do and kind of set our goals and kind of keep us accountable for what we're doing. So I like that.
Especially when it comes to taking final exams, because if you struggled for like unit one, obviously you're going to have to review that information later on. So you need to know what you did wrong, what you did right, and keep working on that.
Yeah.
So it
And
seems.
I'd like to add,
Go ahead.
May I think this is a really important point about support in that we hire full-time faculty. And so all the faculty here live here in Freeport, we work here full-time, and that is so important for providing this wraparound constant support. And so I know other schools have visiting faculty that come and go, or and so I think it was really important to us, again, to have really the full-time faculty here so that the students have this like constant presence all the time and they're really feeling supported and not like, oh, where did they go? I feel abandoned, that kind of thing.
I've even seen some at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Well, then this is how you know it's a good school, because if you see your professor at the grocery store, you know they're invested. So that's good. There's a circle of support that I'm hearing from the students that is definitely what students need, because of course you want to be successful academically, but you also need that support in other areas of just being a medical student in general and all the highs and lows. So that's fantastic. I love to hear that both of our students and of course our many other students are taking advantage of those resources. Dr. Welke, you mentioned Freeport. We're going to talk about what it's like to be in Freeport, what the students can expect to coming there. It's a beautiful place. Talk a little bit about the island and WAUSM's place there.
I think, and I always laugh when I say this, because I call it Goldilocks. Like, if you know the Goldilocks and the Three Bears, it's just right. It really is. We're this far away from Florida, so we just feel like a little island off of Florida. And I think there we go. There it is.
It's a 30-minute flight.
It's like a
So
25-minute
fast.
flight. And it's just I grew up small town, and it feels like a small town and really welcoming community here. It's very safe. My commute is 6 minutes in the morning. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And so it's Goldilocks because it's just right. It provides just enough, just the right amount of quiet, so you can get what you need to do done, which is study and learn. And then there's just enough things to do. If going out to dinner and things is your vibe, or sports is your, you have that here. So you don't feel, there's fast food. You want your Burger King, you're getting your Burger King, So it's just right because it provides this really nice sort of quiet, isolated, free to study, but then there's some things to do. I just love it. I find it really, it's been so welcoming. The Bahamians have been really happy to have us here. They've embraced the students. They've embraced our faculty and colleagues. So I think it was just a really great choice and a really good fit.
And what about our students? Talk to us about a day in the life of how it is to live in Freeport. What goes on?
Well, I will say it's really nice living by the beach. That's like my favorite thing to do, just hang out at the beach. A lot of places have pools too. A lot of the apartment complexes here have pools. So if you don't like the beach, you can study by the pool. It's up to you. But honestly, it's really great, like hanging out with all the locals here too. We've made a couple local friends. They take us out, show us around the island. My favorite thing was just going on the boat and hanging out with the turtles. Like you can see turtles wherever you go. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel here we're kind of spoiled for beaches,
Mhm.
and they're always beautiful. I feel like the weather here is always very nice too. It's kind of hard to be sad when it's always sunny. So I feel like it's a very good environment, and just like Dr. Welke said, it's a really good balance of it being like calm, very calm. It's very laid back here, and I feel like it's also very safe too, but we do have a lot of opportunities to have fun. And it's going to be more like holistic, naturalistic fun, like go out to the beach, go out
Pickleball.
play pickleball, we love that. Or like go explore there are some caves and like little watering holes that you can go explore, and just like nice outdoor little restaurants and bars and things like that. Yeah, I just think it's really nice, but also it's not like nothing too crazy or something so exciting is going on that it's like, oh, I want to go to all these concerts, but I can't because I have to study. It's like, no, it's like
There's nothing to take your focus.
exactly.
So much.
So like that.
So building off of what the student said, Dr. Wales, why is Freeport that optimal location for a medical student to study and to be that physician that they need to be?
It's everything that you've just heard, which is they can focus on studying while also, tending to their own mental and physical health. So that combination is difficult to find, and it really helps students from the very beginning. One of the things that do you mind if I talk a little bit about one of the supports that we offer students that we haven't yet talked about is career development support or career planning. So our students start in the very first semester thinking about their career in medicine, what they'd like to match into. They meet with Danielle McDonald on a regular basis. And the reason that's important is one of the people popped a question into the chat that asked about residency placement. And the answer to that is WASM is relatively new in terms of we started our first class in January of 2022, right? So we have not had a class graduate yet. But just because we're a new school doesn't mean we're new at medical education. So if you look at Dr. Flaherty, who is our president, who was at the University of Illinois for years, and I was at the Indiana University School of Medicine for years, those are the two largest US medical schools. So one day when Joe and I, Dr. Flaherty and I, we were sitting down, we must have been at a cheap restaurant because we were writing it on the back of a paper napkin, right? So we were talking about the number of students, or actually the number of practicing physicians we were responsible for matching. And between Joe, Peter, and I, who were sitting at the table, between our time at Indiana, our time at Illinois, our time at Ross, we were personally responsible for matching over 25,000 practicing physicians. So the reason I'm saying that is because even though WASM is new, we are not new at doing this thing called medical education. And so the students get that kind of benefit from us. And that's why we create things. Well, that's why we picked a location where they could focus on studying. We picked a location so that when the career advising people came, they would be there front and center. We developed a curriculum that was intentionally integrated. Everything is done with purpose and intentionally, including the building that was built, the room that they're sitting in today. Everything was designed for education, for optimal education, so that our students would be the best physicians they could possibly be, would have the best opportunity for match, and would go and represent WASM well, but most importantly, be great physicians to care for us and the people we love. Thanks for letting me talk about that for just
No, those are all great tenets of medical education. I myself have been involved in matching lots of students in residency as well. And the name of the game is getting a residency. And I would always say to everybody who I worked with, no matter what your position is here at the school, you're responsible for getting that student a residency. That was the call to arms. So thank you for that, Dr. Wales. That's fantastic. That's a great segue into what we're going to talk about in conclusion, which is, these prospective students that we're talking to today that are attending the info session, and hopefully more that will tune into our live session on YouTube, is, what advice would you give these students if they're considering WASM for their medical education, for them to be those physicians in their career? What advice would you give our prospective students that are considering us?
I would say the most important thing that you can do as a medical student is find the right fit. As I said before, medical school's hard. You are going to have bad days. You're going to have bad weeks. You might even have bad months or bad years. But you need to be, I would say, find yourself in a place where the people around you can support you and where you can support them. Because medicine is tough, but it's made so much easier when you have faculty who care about you, when you have other students who care about you, when the environment is designed to support you. So that's my best advice. My best advice is find a good fit where you will feel comfortable and be able to perform your very best, even on the days when you're not your very best.
And I'll throw the same question to Dr. Welke. What advice would you give our prospective students that are considering WASM?
Oh goodness, I think Dr. Wales is right. Fit is important. If you're into active learning and collaborating with other students, WASM is a wonderful place to. I think it's just amazing, all the things that we're doing here. I think you have to be ready to give some things up. It's difficult, it's hard. You may not be able to communicate with family and friends that much. You want to keep them close, but also you need to really focus on your studies. It's going to be really difficult. And having those bad days and just or in good days and days full of joy, but you have to be really determined and motivated on your end goal. And you might have to think about giving some things up and embracing other things and to reach that goal. It won't be the same as undergraduate, and it won't be the same as other fields. It's gonna, it's gonna be having that dig in and that grit and that determination, right? And that fortitude. So just be really, have that mindset. But we're ready to welcome you and help you along, right? So
Definitely.
And Tiffany and Irvin, you were in the shoes of the people that are watching us today and listening to us today. What advice would you give students that are considering, medical school, and why did you sit here and say, yes, WAUSM is for me?
I would say wherever you go, find your community of people. Like Dr. Wells said, it's very important to have a support system. Tiffany and I are best friends. Honestly, when I first got here, I wasn't sure if I would make like such close friends, but it's really nice like coming here and seeing the amount of care and love that we have for one another. Like it's really great. And honestly, whenever you feel like you're overwhelmed or anything like that, just keep pushing forward. Everybody wants to see you succeed no matter what. And you have to have that fire inside of you to keep going no matter what. And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So
yeah.
Right.
keep your eye on the
Absolutely.
prize. Yeah.
And I would say that if you feel like you're ready for medical school, then you should go for it. If the opportunity presents itself, then you should take it because, there's no point in waiting and extending the time before you reach your dream career. It's only going to take much longer. Like after medical school, you have residency and possibly fellowship. So I would say, like, if I could go back to my previous self, I would tell myself to, just jump the gun and do it. And it has been such a great decision and honestly a great experience. Met my best friend here as well as some other really great people and really great faculty. Yeah, and also medical school is really hard. I don't think anything really prepares you for that. And I feel like everybody who goes to medical school or gets into medical school, at one point you are the best of the best. And sometimes it's hard you get to medical school and then you realize it's so much harder than anything you've ever done before this. So just know that you need to be able to pick yourself up and understand that it's okay to fail as long as you keep getting up and keep trying, and you will be better. But you have to start from somewhere, and unfortunately when you start medical school, you will not be the best of the best. You have to learn your way to get there.
Well, I'm going to close on that note of the fact that you just said, if you're ready, then go, just do it. So we first of all, thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks to the panelists. Thank you guys for answering a lot of the questions that a lot of our students have. I will say that our admissions team is one of the finest teams in the biz, and they are currently accepting applications for our January 2025 start. We also have a start in May, and then of course we have our start in September, which is our biggest start. But if you're ready, if all the boxes are checked and you're ready to apply and you want to take advantage of what WAUSM has to offer, go on our website. Go online to apply. You can also use AMCAS to apply. There's a lot of different methods that are available to you, and our team will help you every step of the way, including myself. If you're here in locally here in the South region, I'll be able to help you out, answer any questions. But feel free to reach out to our admissions teams at admissions@wasm.education. Feel free to reach out to any one of us that have been on the call today, and we thank you so much for joining us, and hope you have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Okay, we are clear.
Yay!
Great job, everyone. Great job. Paul and Anthony, you looked and sounded great. I love the new setup. This is perfect. And everyone on the island, you guys were awesome. Great job.
We're gonna take this on the road, me and Dr. Wales. We're gonna go, we're gonna be a 50-city tour.
I have to
Dr.
tell you,
Walkie,
the students
have
tonight
a-
were fabulous. Just fabulous. Thank you. You guys were great. Sorry.
Fantastic.
That's because they're in neuro right now.
It's the whole neuro club.
Get those endorphins going.
Very good.
Dr.
Well,
Walkie, there's a
they've got rid
comment.
of now they have self-rid.
Laura, there's a comment for you. It says, thank you from SUNY Downstate. We love you, Dr. Walkie.
Walkie.
What?
Gladys.
Someone named
Gladys?
Gladys from SUNY Downstate was saying that she loves you.
Who's that?
You're so
You
popular.
know Gladys.
No
Is
pictures,
there-
no
is there a
pictures.
last
There's no
name?
pictures.
No, she did not put a last name.
Wow. So
There's a
it's
little
like-
bitty picture. Can you make her picture bigger?
Yeah, there's a picture there.